For the door, what I did is, as I mentioned previously in the prior videos, I projected the texture, but if you want to work even further and add a roughness or normal, you can either project that from the texture of Quixel, or what you can do if you want to work even faster, you can just copy paste the layers and replace them with the texture, but change the projection. In that case, what we can do is instead of using the UV projection, use the chip planar projection. The only thing that is annoying here is finding where the door sits, which is basically here, and you just plate them. The advantage of using this technique is later down the road you can replace even the diffuse by just drag and dropping the texture because the coordinates are the same, and same for the roughness, which might make your workflow a bit easier. The only problem with this technique is that you can see you can't really remove textures and detail from it, so you're gonna have to cope with it. For the surrounding of the house, I basically used the same texture because remember we did some metallic pieces around the corner of the door. The gutter is a bit easy because it's not a big piece. I suggest you to either download a material from the Quixel library or Substance Painter library. They have a bunch of very nice metallic textures. Or if you want to create from scratch, I'm gonna show you a very quick process on how you can do something similar to this. We're gonna use a base and change the finish of it. Don't pick something too obvious, pick something more discreet. Update the tiling. And for albedo base, I'm gonna use, or even rough or normal, I'm gonna use a Quixel base. Remember, here the case is I want it to be as fast as possible, so I'm not gonna bother even paint something in Quixel or Painter. Just turn them down to make sure the color match the overall tone that we have of the landscape. It could be something more bright. In my case, I wanted to do something dark to not draw too much attention, but if you feel like it, do something a bit more bright than what I'm doing right now. And I'm gonna use the Gun Edge Alpha mask to make some sort of rough pass on it. So at the end, you should have something similar to this. Now let's export this into Unreal. So for that, because I separated everything into IDs, I'm gonna select all of them, make sure the folder is accurate, and select the Unreal Engine 4 packed, because I want the ORD and ORM maps together, so roughness, metallic, and occlusion. Then I'm gonna export in PNG in 4K. You're gonna export everything, so make sure to be patient, it might take some few minutes. Back in Unreal, what I'm gonna do is create a new material, master material, to drag and drop my Substance Painter from it. So I'm gonna copy this one to be even faster. Rename it Substance Painter Master Material. And I'm just gonna delete all of the nodes that we don't need. So we have the blending node that I'm gonna have to delete, all of those, and I'm gonna remove the use attribute material because it's gonna be a very simple material this time. Why I want to duplicate this one is because I want to keep what we have, so I'm gonna remove the tiling, but I want to still keep all of the VT texture, virtual textures, because we're gonna import UDIMs that only work with VT textures. And the other thing is I want to use all of the roughness and other parameters that we imported from Quixel. For people that want another type of control, you can separate the metallic if you want to, but I'm not gonna do that here. I'm just gonna use the ORM texture. Make sure to also rename your parameters because it's not a blend anymore. You can just rename it albedo, whatever you want. Now I'm gonna bring some more modifier from one of the Substance Painter texture, which I'm going to the master material. I'm going to the modifier panel. I'm not gonna bring the normal is good, but I'm gonna bring the AO if you need to, or the roughness, or etc. But I'm gonna definitely bring the metal. It's something we are missing. So I'm gonna just Control C, Control V, and I'm just connecting everything together. So I'm gonna speed up the process here a little bit. For the metalness, make sure instead of using a separate one, if you want to, you can use the ORM, which is the blue channel. And the next step is going to be importing all of the textures from Substance Painter and creating instance material from the substance material. I suggest you to be clean, so create folders. It's gonna help you later down the road to really have control on where all your stuff is, instead of having a bunch of, do you see all of the texture I have right now? You want them to be maybe in the cabin folder, then etc, etc. Because we work in VT textures, what it's gonna do, so I'm gonna select all of them, and you're gonna have an error message popping, which is totally normal, don't worry about that. What it just does is saying that, oh, we are importing UDIM, so I'm not gonna import all of them. I'm just gonna import the texture as is. Let's pretend, for example, if I show you the gutter, for example, or the door, only one UDIMs. But if I click on the siding, you can see all of my UDIMs now. This is only possible if you import VT textures. And now, as you guess, what I'm gonna do is gonna be a bit long, so I'm gonna accelerate the processes, is to apply all of my textures to the proper sections, so my sidings, my wood, and so on, create more instances, and then change the textures from what we just imported. I like to move around when I do this kind of stuff to make sure that all of my textures are fine, there is no weird UDIM error on stuff. This is stuff you can always correct if you need to. So you should have something similar to this with all of the texture applied. The do on the other element that you can see, it's something I want to show you right away. Don't worry, it's just something we're going to add from Quixel. For some part of the house that we didn't did in Painter, I said that I'm going to do them in Unreal, and for that I'm going to use some Quixel material directly and apply them to the part that need to be done. The trim, metallic trim, and all of the stuff, and also the roof, and other props that can lay around the house. For the roof, I'm gonna use the all metal panel. Because remember, in the modding phase, this is one of the displacements we use to elevate the roof panels. What I'm gonna do here is make sure it's matching the tiling that we have before. If you remember in 3ds Max, we use 4 and 2 as a tiling. So now it matches all of your elevation. What you can do is create some offset. And I'm gonna tweak the values a little bit of the color. You can change the roughness if you feel like it, but as you can see here, it matches my elevation. And I'm gonna do the same for the other part of the house. For this one, I'm gonna play with the values, but also with the specs on roughness, because I wanted this part of the house a bit more shiny. Don't overdo it unless you're doing something way more wet, like it's just rained or just snowed. For all of the metal pieces, I'm gonna use the same texture that we use on the metal trim. And this piece I just added, it's something very easy, it's just a quick cell asset. For the back of the door, if you didn't have sidings, I focused on the foreground on the first part of the house that we really see. So I'm just gonna apply a double-sided material so we don't have weird see-through of the shaders. And this door is just imported from Quixel, which is very easy. I also added a fuse box. You can see some decals on the house, but don't pay attention to that, it's something we're gonna see in the next video. So at this stage you should have the house imported with the textures, and same for the landscape, and it's already looking pretty good, so we're gonna move on to the next video when we're gonna start to really work on the details.